Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Stop Watering Dead Flowers with me, your host Chris Forbes, in association with the Stand Comedy Club here in Glasgow in particular. As you know, I usually start off each episode with a little story of my own, anything that's been haunting me over the past week, or sometimes people have written in their own little stories. However, I would like to use the start of this episode to just shamelessly plug the fact that we are doing a live version of Stop Watering Dead Flowers podcast on the 20th of May. It's a Wednesday night. It's a well-known party night. Wednesday the 20th of May at the Glasgow Stand Comedy Club. There's going to be some incredible guests yet to be booked. There's going to be brilliant, top-class guests yet to be confirmed, but you are going to have a great time if you come down. And I think what we're going to do is everyone's going to fill in a little thing at the start when you come in. You can all write down at least one dead flower and we'll read some of them out on the night, maybe even get some of you involved. Wednesday night. Sounds like a good night to me. Anyway, welcome back, as I say, to another episode, and here's the theme tune. Stop watering dead flowers. I am delighted to say this week in the garden we have the wonderful Eleanor Morton. How are you, Eleanor?
I'm all right. I'm a bit stressed, but I'm fine.
You've had a very stressful morning and journey to get here.
Yeah, I had a lot of film directors were getting in touch to ask if I could have meetings. I didn't have time.
Yes, /
my washing machine broke.
That's it. Yes, yeah. But I mean, that's heavy drama on a domestic
It was.
front.
I'm very scared that water's going to leak through my ceiling while I'm here, and I'm going to go home and my neighbour's going to be angry.
Yes. Do you know that happened to us once? The people above us, they leaked on top, and they weren't that bothered actually.
They weren't bothered.
No.
But you were bothered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm better than those people because I am obsessed with it.
That's good. But if anyone knows anything about washing machines and why they haven't drained properly, was that maybe one of the issues?
Yeah, I think so. It did. The spin cycle didn't do the thing it normally. I don't know a lot about washing machines, but I know that it's not meant to come out sopping wet and put water all over your floor. That's
welcome to appliance maintenance. Forbes and Morton. That would be a good.
Forbes and Morton is. That does sound like a company that fixes
fix
things.
It.
It shouldn't. It wouldn't be us.
No. We've lent our names.
Yeah. Are you handy?
Not
Chris?
at all.
No. Not
I'm
at all.
really not.
Can you fix?
I'm kind of ashamed to admit that.
Is your wife handy?
More than I.
She has to be.
Yeah. She really does. I think the proudest thing I've built actually was a set of shelves in the garage.
That's not bad.
And it was kind of, there wasn't even like drilling involved though. It was kind of all just slotted together. It's basically like adult mechano type of.
I'm pretty pleased. I want to put up a curtain rail by myself.
Oh, that's big stuff.
It was, and it wasn't a great job, but I did it because I live by myself and I have to do everything by myself, and I'm a small lady, so what? I mean, I could have asked someone to help, but that's how the patriarchy wins.
Exactly. Yeah. Eleanor Morton, as way of introduction, for anyone that might not be familiar with your work, which would be surprising to me, since you are a multi-talented performer, a writer, a sketch artiste.
Oh, thank you.
People use that terminology.
With an E on the end.
And obviously incredible stand-up comic. Comedy, was that where it kind of started from you and everything stemmed off from that? Or did you do bits of kind of sketches and writing before you even got into stand-up?
No, I wanted to be a stand-up when I found out what a stand-up was.
Right.
So when I was like 10, I think.
Wow.
It's quite late, actually. A lot of people watch stuff earlier, but I think I saw a lot of things on. There was a real boom when I was 10, like early to mid 2000s. There was a real comedy.
Right. That was when things were. Was that when things were just coming back, like the start of like Jack D and Apollo?
Yeah, all that stuff, and it felt like it just felt like, oh yeah, because I wanted to be an actor. And as you'll know, Chris, being an actor is fun, but it's not a lot of control. And I wanted to do something I could. I was going to say dictate. Is that the right word? I wanted to write and perform my own stuff, and then I started doing comedy stand up, even though I didn't like talking to people or leaving the house or going to pubs.
Isn't it incredible though how many comics
Yeah.
don't actually like speaking to people or leaving the house?
We only do it if we get a spotlight and everyone else has to be quiet.
Because then no one can speak to you.
Exactly. That's the perfect.
It's quite a safe space.
Yeah.
Everyone's going, how are they doing that? And you're like, this is the only way I can do this.
Listen, don't get me in a party, but yeah, no, that was the driving force, and then everything else. You know, I'd done a bit of theatre as a kid and stuff.
Yeah. And then for that reason, then it makes even more sense to me as well now when I say that people that have started to do more and more online, that platform then suits you brilliantly because you were writing your own stuff, performing your own stuff, but you don't have to leave the house. You don't have to speak to anyone. And
nailed it.
And you've had so many different viral videos and characters and historical stuff, loads of different things, and it seems like you really enjoy that. Like it's a great outlet.
It is. I mean, I tried to do online stuff a few years ago when it was getting big, and people were like, "You need to do more online stuff," and you know, you sort of make yourself, you know, I don't like this, and then lockdown was something of a blessing in disguise because suddenly there was nothing to do all day. There was no stakes.
Yeah.
You could fail as much as you wanted because no one was doing anything anyway. So I just started putting out very random niche videos about things I was interested in. And then some people like those. But I don't think I would have done that.
Lots of people like them.
Thank you, Chris. But I don't know if I would have done that if I hadn't had a pandemic to force me to be creative.
Thank you, pandemic.
And that is why I am anti-vax.
Yeah.
But no, I for years I was like, oh, I don't want to do it online. That feels like it's what cool comedians do, and I'm not one of those.
You're cool. You got a cool thing going.
Thank you.
I still struggle with it, and it's everyone still talks about it. It's still it feels like a delicate balance to get right.
People are really like, I don't know how to do this. It's intimidating, which is funny because a lot of them are good at stand up, and you're like, well, I think that's easier than stand up. But I think people they're like, if it doesn't go viral, I've failed. Yeah, and I don't think that's true. I think you need to figure out what you like and keep doing it.
Just do it. Perfection.
Yeah. Have you
gets in the way of progress and all that.
Yeah. Well, you've done.
That's the same. I think.
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah. You've done stuff as on the internet as
on the internet.
Duncan, is that the biggest thing you've done online?
I would say probably. I've only ever really done it when, like, there was a team, like a purpose to be doing it, and we did the BBC short stuffs, and you know it's nice. But the thought of actually just doing it,
just yourself.
Myself feels, I don't know, but technically this is my online stuff.
That's true.
Because we put out one clip a week. Yeah. And it's just always of the guest. Yeah. But then I can kind of like be like, see, I'm involved.
I'm here.
You know? So that's my way of being like, I'm doing something.
Yeah, it's funny because people are like, oh, that must be the dream, you know, you just do your own stuff. And I do like doing my own stuff, but it was always to facilitate doing stuff with other people. Yeah. Like what I'd really like to do is do that like on TV or with a group of people because that's much more fun. Because it is not easy, but you know, it's straightforward to do it in your bedroom, but it's a little bit sad. And sometimes I do think my neighbours can hear me and I'm like, they must just, what the hell is she doing? It's hard to look them in the eye.
They must love it. And then if they see one of your videos pop up, they're like, oh, we heard that through the walls.
Yeah, I'm not weird. I am weird, but I did it. It was for the internet, so it's fine.
In terms of this podcast, Eleanor, and the format, how did you find picking out some stories? Was it relatively easy for you? Do you have a bank of kind of terrorizing memories, or are you quite good at just going with the flow?
I think. Well, the thing is, I have OCD. Have you had anyone on with OCD before?
We have not yet. It's a first. It's an exclusive. Exclusive mental illness.
Mental illness first. I don't know how much you know about OCD, but essentially it's just that. Right. It's just ruminating about things that could happen or have happened. So I was like,
really, we should only be asking people with OCD on.
No, because then it won't necessarily be about anything funny. It will just be,
you know, it doesn't have to be funny.
Insane. No, I know you said that. I'm trying very hard to not feel like I have to be funny. But yes, I have a lot of thoughts that haunt me. But I don't know how many of them are funny and how many are just a bit sad. Again, you said it didn't have to be funny, but I don't want to bum people out at the same time.
They can't get any more bummed out right now. You know, there's a lot of worlds and rests.
Let's go.
They want to share. Misery loves company. They're like, yeah, that does sound hard, man.
I mean, if it comforts anyone to know that whatever they obsessively think about, I do 10 times more.
See?
You know, and stay awake at night thinking about the stupidest things. Yes. Less than I used to, because I was allowed to have medicine for that. So
wow,
not good for the podcast though.
No, try and keep some of the
memories.
Come off the meds. Yes. Come back for part 2.
Yes. Okay.
You'll be like,
Here's what I was really thinking.
Yeah. Okay. Let's dive in, and we'll always start with that childhood one.
Oh boy.
Was there one that came through the many weeds that stuck its head up mostly?
Yeah, I have a lot. I don't want to boast.
Childhood
and a very
ones,
sad childhood, and not in a fun memoir way. No. Just in a that's a bit sad.
No.
But one that I was bullied a lot at school, but one that always comes back to me because it was clever and that annoyed me was because I used to be bullied. And at the time, I thought it was for my accent and my hair. And now I think it might just have been my personality. Because there were kids who had red hair and accents who didn't get bullied. But
the hair thing I find so infuriating for like even mates of mine that have red hair. That it only seems to be when people are young, it seems like something kids will target. Because generally I feel like red hair is so well loved and like
it's very
around the world. It's very like people are like, I love red haired people.
Yeah.
Our text Sean's got red hair, so I'm really just currying favour here. But
I was going to say boys get it worse than girls in school. Would you agree? You nod at that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sean crying in the corner.
Sean had a great time at school. Apparently, that's fine. Yeah, no, there's a real whiplash when like you sort of turn 18 and then suddenly everyone's like, oh, I love red hair. And you're like, do you?
Come on, man. It's fickle.
It is fickle. Especially in Scotland, I think people are surprised at how, because they're like, well, loads of redheads in Scotland. Why would, and it's like, yeah, that makes it worse to be one. But we were on, did your school do it? Well, you're from the Highlands, aren't you? So you didn't go to the Highlands.
No, but we did do trips when I went to school also down here, but we never went on a Highlands trip.
Because we did a week, I think a lot of schools in Edinburgh anyway did like, you'd go for a week to a Highland like outdoor centre.
Lovely.
And then they would like chuck you in cold water and throw you off cliffs, and it was meant to be really good for you.
I can imagine that,
like a bonding experience. But this was when we were 11 and we just started high school, so it's not actually a good time for children to try and make friends with. We're all just terrified and angry. But there was one time I was on this trip and we were in the breakfast room and there was all these posters on the walls, like mountaineering posters and that kind of stuff. And there was one of the Himalayas in Nepal, and one of the boys who'd been teasing me went, that country's called Nepal. And because, again, I can see why I was bullied now, because I was who I was, I went, it's actually pronounced Nepal.
Oh, no.
And he went, like, not even a second of thought. He just went, no, it's called Nepal. And you live there because you've got Nepals. And
no.
It was such a good pun that I couldn't even be upset. I was like, fair enough. It
wasn't even that good.
How do you feel, Chris? Do you feel sad?
I do feel a bit sad. And was there other people around? Was he kind of playing to the masses?
Yeah. There was all those wee boys who, like, in hindsight, you're like, maybe they fancied me, but that's not comfort at this age. I just remember eating porridge and being sad, and you know what? That's many days of my childhood. No.
You're just trying to educate your fellow
I know. I used to get told off in primary school because I would correct other people's pronunciation of long, complicated words.
Yeah, I'm starting to see it now.
Yeah, you are, aren't you? Yeah. I mean, listen, no child deserves to be bullied, but sometimes it's like, I can see what you mean. I can see where you'd find that.
Do you think that wee guy, I'm very much playing devil's advocate here, do you think that wee guy sitting somewhere going, this girl Eleanor used to bully me all the time. I remember I said Nepal and she was like, it's Nepal, and I felt like such an idiot.
Do you know what? That is almost certainly true, because I think everyone at school had this idea that I was very posh and very educated, even though we were at the same school. So.
Yeah.
And that I knew better than them, and I was like very out myself, which I was. So I totally believe that out there they were like, oh, and she was an absolute nightmare. My sister found my sister, I don't know, obviously stopped Googling myself a long time ago, but my sister will still Google me, and sometimes she'll send stuff to me and I'll be like, I didn't want to see that. But she found something on Reddit. Someone was trying to resell some tickets on the Edinburgh Reddit, and they were and someone was like, oh, it's nice to know Eleanor Morton's from Edinburgh. I don't know why she sounds like that. And someone else wrote, she and her siblings all went to my school. They all had these weird BBC accents from like when they were 5, and we don't know why. And I was like, who is this? Who's still thinking about this? So yeah, I absolutely think people must have been like, that was a weird girl, wasn't it? Wow. And now whenever I bump into someone, which is very rare, but from school, I'll be like, in my head, I'm like, they must know I'm a comedian and they must have watched my stuff and judged it and laughed, but in a bad way. It's very healthy.
Yeah.
I have done therapy, by the way.
Oh, you've got to.
Yeah. So yeah, pretty hung up on that. But he could be. I don't even remember which boy it was now. There was like 4 boys it could be, yeah. And it was probably a Scott or a Craig, but which one I couldn't tell you.
Well, I hope they have Nepals now.
Thank you. Maybe this led them on a spiritual awakening and they went to Nepal and they climbed the Himalayas and they had a whole life experience and they were like, it was all because of that.
They've got matching t-shirts, your face, Nepal.
We went to Nepal to find Eleanor and all we found was spiritual enlightenment with the Dalai Lama. No, that's Tibet.
That's a tough one for sure to think about a lot. And as an aside, you know, my wife's English. I'm sure we've spoken about this.
Yes.
But purely just because she is an English person that lives in Scotland, everyone I know and my friends, they all just assume she's posh just because she's English.
I mean, like, the thing is, like, to clarify, obviously I am very middle class. I'm not being like, I am not middle class. But I think when I was young, because everyone called me posh, I had this idea that I was posh. And then I grew up and met real posh people. And I was like, oh no, I've just got an annoying accent. They've got money. But yeah, there's like a prestige. People were like more impressed, I think.
Right.
Or just annoyed. And it was like, you hadn't done anything.
Yeah.
And is your wife at all? Isn't she from Liverpool? Sorry, not to give out personal information.
She's from everywhere. So that's the thing. She's got such a weird accent, but she started school in Cambridge, so she did have an element of a kind of posh accent.
Yeah.
But both her parents are from Liverpool, so then they were back there, and then she finished her high school in Cumbria, so she's kind of got a bit of Cumbrian.
Yeah, that's a whole
Scouse, Cambridge. It's bizarre.
That is a crazy. Does she switch between them, or is it one?
She
muddled?
does. Yeah, angry Scouse. I mean, it sounds like a stereotype, but she goes more Scouse because her mother comes out of her mouth when she's like annoyed.
I think I sound more Scottish when I'm annoyed as well. But it does sort of haunt me. I always think at night lying in bed, would my ancestors have made fun of my accent? And I think they would have done.
Do you think so?
Yeah, because I already know, because my mum said when she used to visit her cousins in Glasgow, they would say, why'd you talk so funny? And so I'm like, no, I know they would have done. Doesn't make you feel loved. But what can you do? Listen,
you can't help where you come from or what you sound like. That's what I always say when I talk about Eleanor. I mean, is there a definitive answer? This is just your voice. Are your parents from anywhere in particular?
It's such a boring answer. My parents were both raised in England, but their families are all Scottish. And from Durham.
So it's just something that makes sense.
So I sound like they did, but then a lot of, I have a lot of friends who had parents from other places. They didn't sound like them. Yeah. Increasingly, I'm thinking it could be autism, but listen, we can't say that was everything, can we? But I don't know. I mean, accents have always fascinated me, and like, so whenever I meet someone, I always try and figure out what their accent is and ask where they're from, because I always want to know, like, like your accent, for example.
Good luck.
Yeah. Insane. Absolutely insane accent. No, not really. But yeah, it's sort of, I don't know, a blessing and a curse. Mostly a curse. I think I'd be less annoying because I'd be less obsessed with it if I just sounded sort of standard Edinburgh.
I think you've been very hard on yourself.
Yeah, I think I have.
Yes, we broke one. Well, listen, no, I think if anything, the real dead flowers here is it's not even that guy saying that.
No.
It's your memory of it and being hard on yourself. I think
you're right.
You know.
I think I was very hard on. I was like, what am I doing wrong as an 11-year-old? I must fix. There must be something I'm doing I can stop doing.
Yeah.
Apart from correcting people's pronunciation, which I could have stopped. But listen, I was very proud of that.
Crikey. Well, listen, all these things ultimately led you to where you went, and
That's
all those
true.
types of cliche things.
Yeah.
And speaking of your journey, where will we jump to career next? Did you have many other jobs before you got into comedy? Were you someone that kind of had a very you wanted to be involved in stand-up from an early age, but did you have to kind of figure that out in terms of professionally through other jobs that you didn't really like?
Yes, sort of, because I started when I was 18, and so I was always doing comedy, and so I always had like bits and pieces of jobs, but never like one full long-term thing. So lots of like temp work and flyering, and Clark's was my first job when I was 16. Yeah.
That's incredible. It's just a good shoe in Clark's. It's just a good solid shoe.
Did you used to get your shoes done as a kid, and they'd do the measuring?
That would be the place.
You got on the thing, and it was I got taught how to do that. That was exciting.
Really,
yeah.
It was actually quite trippy for me to. A lot of those memories came flooding back when it was time to have my own child's foot. I was like, oh yeah, you get to do the thing and the foot,
and you feel special.
It's quite exciting,
like a fancy lady in a department store. You know?
Clark's. Shout out to Clark's. We're open to sponsorship.
Although I think I found one of my old pay slips from there a couple of years ago, and it was something like £3.60 an hour. You know, something hilarious where you're like, why did I bother?
Did you get a wee Clark's discount? Like, were you rocking about in Clark's when you were working there?
Yeah, I did get a discount, but I never used it because I wasn't that bothered about the shoes.
Yeah, when you're young, it's not a cool shoe, I suppose.
No, it's very much not. And my mum was like, you've got to use the discount. I was like, no, I just wanted to wear Converse. But no, I pretty much went sort of straight into it and then did other bits and pieces on the side, and it was just always sort of panicking about money. It was fun.
And is it the comedy world or entertainment world in which your story comes from for this next?
Yeah, it is.
Oh dear, I dread to think.
I was trying to decide between two stories. You can have a lighter anecdote about James Acaster, or you can have a sadder anecdote about a Manchester boss.
God, they both sound enticing.
Yeah, I mean, I could do both.
Let's just do them.
All right, so when I was 90, I was at Glasgow Uni, and there's a gig in Manchester called Beat the Frog, still going. Did you ever do Beat the Frog?
I never did.
This was the point in my career where you would do any gig for no money, and you would sit on a bus for hours for 5 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And so I got a mega bus down to Beat the Frog.
Beat the Frog, for anyone that isn't aware,
yes.
it's like a gong show format. It's the comedy club in Manchester, the Frog and Buckets version of the Gong Show, where they will crown a winner.
Yes, you have to.
It does have a reputation as being one of the harder ones where the audiences are somewhat willing to kind of get the.
Do you know what's weird? I actually had one of my best ever gigs at Beat the Frog.
Nice.
Which was insane. And I won. I beat the frog, if that's what you do.
You beat the frog?
I beat the frog. And then I thought, well, and I think the owner was there, and he was like, that was great. And I thought, well, this is it. Tomorrow on the phone, Eleanor, come back. 2 weeks later, I emailed them. They were like, yep, if you want to do another 5. And I was like, oh, okay. So it doesn't really matter anyway. But no, I got on the bus from Glasgow to Manchester. So what is that, 4 hours?
Yeah.
Got to Manchester just in time for tea. Met Fern Brady. She was living there at the time. It's a long time ago. And because I said, oh, you know, I've got a bus back at about, I can't even remember when it was. I'm going to say 8:30. And she was like, 8:30? And I was like, yeah. She was like, it doesn't start till 8. I was like, shit. So we went along, and I asked to go on early, but the clock was ticking, and it got to like 8:20. And I was like, I have to go. And then I got back on a bus and went up to Glasgow and arrived at what? It must have been. It must have taken more than 4 hours, because I'm sure we got in at like 2 a.m.
So you didn't even get to go on?
No.
You went all the way down.
Went to Manchester, I think I had a very brief dinner in the Slug and Lettuce.
You went to the Frog and Bucket?
Went to the Frog and Bucket and then went home. Yes. But you know what?
That's so bold.
I told you it was bleak.
That is hard.
And also, I'd never been to... I don't think I'd been to Manchester before at that point. So I was just like, wow, the big city, wow. Back on the bus.
That is. I know how awful it is when you start and you do all these horrible mega bus journeys just to get a bit of state, and you didn't even get to do the.
I did not get to do the thing. I will say I had that lovely gig there like a month later.
Good.
So I redeemed it, but it was pretty.
Some good thinking time in the old bus.
Time in the bus. That's also one of those buses where, like, if someone gets on and starts talking to you at the bus station, you're like, oh no. Here we go.
Do you know the worst one of those stories from when I started out early was an overnight bus to London.
Oh yeah, I've only done that once.
Overnight, and it wasn't even like the sleeper ones. You could get them, but it was like you're just on the seat. But someone threw up very badly. So then we pulled over at the side of the road at like 3 a.m, and they were trying to clean it, and then everyone had to get off the bus and wait for another. But I was like, rock and roll, man.
Do you remember the day? I've never took it, but do you remember the days of Megabus Gold? Did you ever do a Megabus Gold?
I tell you what, I did do Megabus Gold to Inverness quite often.
Oh yeah,
it was the talk of my family when my
bet.
mum would be going up and down, between families, me and my brother, because the Megabus Gold, you got a wee sandwich and a cup of tea and all this.
That's crazy.
Oh, I wish they'd bring that back.
I still haven't ever taken the sleeper train to London, because every time I want to, I just look at the price and I go, not worth it.
I know,
but I really want to.
I've done it one time. I did it on the way back from London
Yeah.
because the gig was finished, and I thought it's actually probably about the same price as trying to get accommodation in London for the extra night. And it was quite cool to do and like wake up and be in Glasgow basically.
Wake up and
they wake you up like half an hour before so you can get yourself together and a wee cup of tea.
Yeah, see that's the dream. But unfortunately I know too many people in London now that I couldn't just stay on their sofa for free.
Yeah.
So it's just never worth the money, but one day, if someone else is paying.
I guess I'm just Nepals in London. We'll call back to the first story, anyone? Anybody?
That's pronounced London.
Okay. James Acaster,
Yes.
where does he come into this sordid collection of haunted?
Also, Manchester.
Oh.
First time I ever did Excess Malarkey. Have you done Excess Malarkey?
I loved Excess Mark when I was starting out and it was in its old venue. It used to be great, big studenty gig, kind of like a Red Draw.
Yeah,
it was lovely.
So fun. I did it a couple of months ago again, and it's such a lovely thing. And Toby Haydock, who runs it, is the nicest man, and he's also in the world of sort of spooky sci-fi acting that I love.
Doctor Who stuff as well.
So he's always great to talk to. But I did my first one, my 10-minute spot in Excess Malarkey when it was in a church.
Oh, I never did that.
Or an ex-church.
Right.
James Acaster was the headliner, and this was just before he was getting really big. But he was getting there. He was blowing up. And I did my bit and it was fine. And then I think he said, oh, well done. And then he went on, all great, very good. Cut to 5 years later, I'm in the Soho Theatre Bar in London because I'm very trendy.
Hello.
I don't know why. They must have been seeing something. But I was there with my friend Stuart Laws.
Yes, lovely guy.
Who produces a lot of James's videos, his stand-up shows, and so they're really good friends. And James Acaster was there, and he was standing with Stuart, and Stuart said, "Oh, Eleanor, come and meet James." I went over and I said, "Oh, hi," and in my head I was like, he won't remember me because he's James Acaster, and we met once 5 years ago, very briefly, and that was the mindset I went into this conversation with. So he said, Stuart said, Eleanor, James. And James went, oh, yeah, I think we've met before. And because I'd locked it in that he wasn't going to remember, I went, no, I don't think so. And he sort of looked at me like, I think we have. And I went, no, don't remember, no.
Oh, wow.
And Stuart was just looking at me like, why would you do this? Why would you do this to yourself? And he was just so put on the back foot by it. He was like, okay, I do think we've met before, but you obviously, I was like, we haven't. So, and we haven't spoken since. Not because of that.
Yeah.
But just we haven't had the chance.
But in your mind, it probably is because of that.
Probably is because of that.
So you essentially, it seems like you preempted such a negative non-reaction that you manifested
Yes.
your own.
I was going to be like, no, you're not going to remember me. I won't remember you.
Yeah.
But then he did, and I had to. My brain wasn't thinking quick enough to recalibrate and go, yes, of course, excess malarkey.
You were in self-defense.
I was in self-defense.
You know?
And you know why? Because of that boy in Lag and Lear. So
I believe it.
So yeah, I'm sure James Acaster has better things to remember than that, but every time I see him across a room I think, I can't introduce myself again.
Well, he's a big fan of this show. So
James, hi, listen.
We'll put that to bed right now. Hey James, Jimmy.
I think I'll just avoid him forever and then I won't have to deal with it.
I think that's a good way to deal with all problems.
Been to all of his shows since then, but
yeah,
can't meet him again. Not after that.
Because then you might get stuck in a loop, and then the next time you say it again,
he might just be like, I don't know who this woman is, but she is so determined to not acknowledge my existence, and it's just creeping me out.
Although it would be awful actually if you did meet them again, and you were then expecting that he'll definitely remember you.
Yeah, and then this time
he
he's
doesn't.
Like,
I don't think so.
That would really screw with me, I think. Have you had a celebrity interaction?
I've had very few, and most of them have gone quite badly.
How was it when you first met Andy Murray?
It was.
I assume you have.
Yeah. Do you know that the funniest thing about that is, as kind of in my head about it as I was, because I was very aware that I have been just. I think people forget that it's been so much fun doing stuff with Judy, but you do forget that it's somebody else's mum. And it's not just somebody else, it's Andy Murray. So it's like, he's been watching this just from afar going, who is this guy?
Who's this guy who's
hanging out with my mum, like, and doing these videos? So I was kind of like, oh, what's he doing?
Yeah.
And the only reference point I'd had to what he thought of them initially was Jamie was doing an event once with Leon and Judy as part of a Davis Cup kind of event that Duncan was supposed to crash and all that. So that was the first time I met Jamie, was literally gate crashing this conference thing that Judy hadn't told him about, which was terrifying. But afterwards,
he didn't know anything about.
No, and maybe we'd only done about 2 sketches at the time. But and I was talking to him afterwards, and he was really nice, and he got right into it as well. And was just like, oh, hi Duncan, but afterwards, someone was talking to both of us and saying, oh, and I wonder what Andy thinks of it. And I said, oh, I don't know. I don't even know if he's seen it. And Jamie went, oh, he's seen it.
Oh my God.
And he said it just like that. And I was like, oh my God,
it's
does
terrifying.
he hate it? Like, I don't want to annoy the family at all or anything.
The Murrays.
But then when I did finally meet him, he's like, you know, I don't think it's unfair of me to say that he's quite a kind of awkward guy as well. You know, he's not.
I can believe that.
And he was just about to do a show himself, like a Q&A thing, and I was getting ready to be like almost defensive as well about it's supposed to be a loving sketch, and it's not supposed to, or like well, your mum's been great, but he was honestly the first that I was like, oh, it's a pleasure to meet you after all this time, thinking, oh, he must have thought about this loads as well, but I didn't realise that it's really not registered for him. He's worldwide. Like, he's been aware it's been going on, but he probably hasn't cared that much. And the first thing he asked us was just, I swear to God, he went, oh, so where did you get parked? Like, how did you get here?
Classic Andy.
And I was like, oh my God, so we were just chatting away. My wife was with me as well. And afterwards, we just kept laughing about how funny it was that he really just wanted to know how we got there, like mode of transport, the practicalities. He was like a very practical thinker.
I mean, I guess if you're playing tennis, that you do like to have to think about spaces and. And
I actually said that I told him the story about Jamie, kind of thinking, I was like, yeah, and I said, don't worry, it's not like the thing I did with Jamie, you know, we get. And he was like, what have you done with Jamie? And I was like, oh, you don't know anything. Like, I was like, nothing. I'm no one. Goodbye. Thank you.
Is this like that meme where it's like, I don't even think of you at all?
Yeah, I think
That's
so.
Andy Murray.
You just forget that he's got a million things going on. So he might have seen a couple of funny sketches, but he's not been kind of going, who is that guy? Like, what's he doing? I must speak to him sometime. But very pleasant a couple of times. So
he seems cool. But I mean, how would you feel if you turned on the TV and there was a sketch where Andy Murray was with your mum?
Yeah, I'd feel very uncomfortable. I'd feel very uncomfortable. Yeah.
I'd watch that though. So
yeah, she was a big fan.
she must be proud.
Whose mum now? Mine of Andy or his of her?
Yeah, both.
What?
Is your mum proud of you?
I like to think so.
So
you know,
that's such a weird
she's from a small Highland village. Right.
Is your mum
Sure,
proud
I'm
of you?
proud of you. What is this podcast? The trippiest thing actually is, and I've got a few of them now, but like when I get a photo with Judy and my mum, and it's like my two mums.
Oh, that's nice.
And they're bizarrely very similar, like
Yeah.
and like kind of same height, almost look the same, about the same age, and
It was meant
similar
to be.
upbringing. So it's quite funny.
There was a point years ago where I would joke that Bruce Morton was my dad.
Yes.
And then one day a journalist phoned me up and he was like, "We're doing a bit on
No way.
comedians, you know, children and parents." And I was like, "He's not actually my dad."
I believed it.
I didn't think anyone was even listening. It's amazing that it made it to
Someone's always listening.
journalist.
Bruce Morton. Big shout out to Morty.
Yeah.
Great comic.
Morto.
One of the OG
One of
greats.
the OGs. And my dad, actually, that's a genuine
Yeah. For anyone at Glasgow Live having a slow news day. Is that actually the truth? Well, they're both good stories from career.
Thank you.
Acaster. I thankfully, I don't think I have. I haven't met as many people to embarrass myself in front of, but I often feel jealous of people that have kind of got the kind of celebrity faux pas of meeting someone and then like really putting their foot in it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of another one. I did once meet Tom Baker, the
Oh, yeah.
Doctor Who, on the street in Soho on a really hot day. So there's a picture of me eating an ice lolly with Tom Baker. That was quite fun. No, not eating the same.
Oh,
I
right,
was
because
eating
that
one.
would be awkward.
I was eating
Yeah.
one. He seemed very up for the photo, which was nice because I'm sure he gets that constantly from mostly from middle-aged men. So maybe I was a breath of fresh air.
Yeah, Doctor Who fans.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's lots of stand-ups I've met who I've really admired and have been very like, I've been on a gig with and just been sort of very awkward because I'm like, should I tell them that this thing meant a lot to me, or is it going to make them? Sometimes people get not offended, but if you imply that they've been going a long time by way of like saying, "Oh, I used to listen to this when I was a kid," or I remember I told someone once, my mum really likes your stuff, and I think it offended them, and I was like, actually, my mum's got great taste in, in my head. And I think people really think like, oh, if an older woman likes something, that's the kiss of death. But some of them have great taste.
Do you know what? That's the only, and it happens so rarely. But if people come up to me, as I say, very rarely, as a Scott Squad thing, they will always say, "Oh, my parents really liked Scott Squad."
Yeah,
it's never them. Like as if it's not that cool to do that, but they'll be like, "Oh, my mum really likes Police Squad," as it's often called by members of the public.
Did I ever show my friend Katie's mum made a Hogmanay New Year's Day steak pie, Scott Squad themed steak pie?
No,
because
and how have I
she
not
loved
seen that?
Scott Squad so much.
Get that photo up. We need to.
It was years ago. I can't
stick
remember.
that into
I
the
think
edit.
it had "ya bam" on it or someone's catchphrase. Wow. Also, I've just remembered. There was a time I was at my parents' house and I walked into the living room and they were watching Jonathan Creek and you appeared on the screen.
Wow.
And I was like, I know that guy. And I think they must have thought I was making it up. It was such a weird coincidence. It happened exactly as I walked in.
I know that. That's how long I was on the screen though, right enough. So that was incredible timing.
I was going to say, I timed it. I was like, right, and
like,
now.
what guy? He's gone.
That guy.
That was the quickest mystery for Jonathan Creek to solve. That's interesting though. I'm glad. Moving on from our career-based segment of the show to often the most vulnerable one.
Yeah.
Is there a relationship one in your locker that you care to share?
Yeah, I mean, not so much relationship as dating. Is that?
No, it doesn't have a relationship with anybody.
Oh my god! Well, that's just life, isn't it? I do remember the most excruciating date I was ever on, because it was a guy I met at Glasgow Uni, and he was similarly precocious to me. We would both speak out in seminars and just be a bit unbearable. And so I think I wanted to impress him in some way.
Right.
And so we started seeing each other after uni when we were both in London, because he was from down south. But I wasn't really that into, I wasn't really sure if I was into it. I didn't really know where it was going. And that was also the point, that was just before Brexit, and he was very much voting Brexit, which wasn't for me.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know about this. But the part of me that was like, but I have to impress the clever guy, was like, no, I should pursue this. And obviously now in hindsight, I'm like, sorry about that. I'm sure he's great, whatever he's doing. Apologies to him. But anyway, I wasn't very enthusiastic, and I should have just said, let's not see each other. But he asked me out when I was in London. I was at film school, and I had no money because I had to give it to film school. And he said, "Do you want to go out for this meal?" And at the time, I was very hung up on someone else who wasn't really paying attention to me.
Right.
So I just thought, if I go on a date with another guy, that'll make him jealous. But I hadn't factored in. First of all, I said to him, I have £0. So I think I just said, you'll have to pay. like not as a feminist statement, but just like,
good though.
It cannot happen unless you pay.
Yeah.
I physically cannot give you the money. And he was from the home counties, and I didn't know a lot about the home counties, but I knew that they were posh.
Yeah.
So I was like, he's going to have the money. So we went to a restaurant, and we'd both obviously just completely forgotten that it was Valentine's Day.
Oh, wow.
So we turned up at this Brazilian restaurant in Camden somewhere, and it was all couples.
Yeah.
It was wall-to-wall couples. It was two people tables, nothing but couples.
Everyone in the throes of proper romantic passion.
Every table had a heart balloon tied to it, and like a rose in a thing on it, and there was like romantic music playing, and it was the most cliched Valentine's dinner thing ever. And we just sat in sort of, both of us knowing that we don't like, this was whatever this was obviously sort of over, just sort of awkwardly looking at each other, and then him paying more than it was worth, and then me going home to discover that this guy I was fancying had made out with a friend of mine instead.
Double whammy.
I just remember like thinking back to sitting in that restaurant, the excruciating hell of being like, not only is this, I don't want to be here, but I felt so bad because I was like, I shouldn't have said yes to this. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And this guy, he's trying his best, and he's not a bad person, and Brexit was wrong, but I'm sure he's figured that out now. So that's I think the worst one. Worst day, maybe.
Did you part from that particular dinner evening with it probably quite clear that it wasn't going anywhere, or was he like, I can't believe it all came together and it was Valentine's Day?
I've literally just remembered as well that I told him I had a cold so we wouldn't have to kiss.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry for that. I hope he's doing well. I hope he's with a much nicer girl who can afford to pay for her own dinner.
You're very hard on yourself. Unbelievable.
Oh my God. Just thinking about that. Because it's Valentine's Day is already such a overplayed, unnecessary thing, in my opinion. And you can't go out around Valentine's Day without it suddenly feeling like it's a thing.
Yeah.
But somehow we'd both completely forgotten it was going to be a thing until it was too late.
Maybe he hadn't, and he was just trying to play it off.
God.
Like, so it is,
Maybe. I feel so.
Oh, what a nice romantic boy he was.
He was sweet. I mean, I don't say I'm a terrible person, but I do feel...
No. He'd have found some other Brexiteer. He's
exactly.
probably very happy
They're
there
probably
with...
ironically living in France or something now, and not... They're having a great... He's from the home counties. He's doing fine.
He needed a bit of tough love. Is your friend still with the other person?
No, that was also very much a I was going to say a one and done. Is that the way of saying that? But I was, I was really crushing on this guy at film school. He was Brazilian, and
wow,
he was very.
Look at that! You must have really loved him. The fact that you went on a date to a Brazilian restaurant surreptitiously with another man.
Oh my God! The signs have been there the whole time. So I'd not met a Brazilian person or eaten Brazilian food before I moved to London, and it was just Brazil. And then, but that wouldn't have worked.
No,
so it's fine. But do I sometimes think about it and go, "Ooh, yes, absolutely."
But it's good to share. It's good to get these things off your chest.
Yeah, on a public platform, definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know he, along with Mr. Acaster, is a big fan of this show. The Brazilian guy.
Do they listen together?
Ronaldo, if you're listening.
You couldn't think of a football. You couldn't think of anyone who wasn't football.
Exactly. I was going through the team going, what's the most subtle one? But everyone in the team...
Pele, if you're listening.
But no, good. It's good to talk about these things because it's not that bad. He'd have been fine.
He would have been fine. Yeah. He would. I feel bad. I don't know. I still feel, not to use an overused sort of pseudo therapy thing, but the kind of when I say I'm empathetic, I mean that like. When I remember these things, I imagine how they felt, and I go, oh, that's terrible. Not to say it means I'm a nice person. It just means I get too caught up in other people's emotions sometimes, and it just stresses me. But yeah, he might not have thought about it since then. So
maybe not.
When we'll never know. Hopefully,
maybe he's crying in a cupboard.
Oh
right
God.
No.
I mean, maybe if I look him up now, he'll be wildly successful and deeply rich. And I was like,
Do you know what? He had a lovely dinner in good company. He had a good time.
Yeah. Let's leave it at that.
He was out of pocket, but other than that,
it was so much money. Like it was something like 30 quid each, which was huge at the time. Bumped it up for Valentine's. This was pre. Brexit, so this was.
Were they trying to like upsell you roses around the table and that?
I want to say I want to say there was something like that. It was also like cheesy and like, oh, people really do this. Okay. Yeah. But yeah, have you had a Valentine's date?
Not really. I don't think. I mean, I was always quite a cheesy romantic guy, but I didn't really do a lot of. I didn't get the opportunity to do a lot of Valentine's Day things. And the short-lived kind of relationships I had never seemed to fall over it. Really, maybe I had one before I met Eleanor, to be honest. So, and then that was it.
Well, there you go. My anniversary now is very near Valentine's Day.
Right.
So we never go out for that on the weekend before because everything's more expensive because it's Valentine's Day. And we're cheap.
This year, my wife was she shared this on her Instagram, which she never uses, but I think she found it so amusing that it wasn't even on Valentine's Day, but like a few days after it, I'd sent her a message saying, well, our daughter had just thrown up over the back of the car. I was like, she'd asked me something, and I was like, Lily's just thrown up everywhere in the back of the car. And she was like, Happy Valentine's Day. So that's our love language now. Talking about who's thrown up or who's filled an appy.
Well, you know what? That's the reality of love.
It is,
and if you can't stick that, then
you don't deserve a Brazilian restaurant.
Exactly. I don't think I've been to a Brazilian restaurant since then. Maybe. Not on purpose, just haven't been many options. I'm fine.
Eleanor Morton.
Hi.
Thank you very much for sharing your own particular dead flowers. Yeah. Some of them, it feels like you have loads in the locker. Enough for
so many.
A part 2, 3, and 4. I'll get you back. What have you got going on right now? Have you got anything in particular coming up that you'd like to tell the listeners and viewers about?
I am at... I'm sure you've got lots of listeners in Mid Wales, so just to let them know, I'm at the McCuntleth Comedy Festival first weekend of May.
I always hear that's such a lovely one to do.
It is so much fun. I just recommend going and just chilling because it's lovely.
Yeah.
If the weather's good. Otherwise, it is a bit of... James Acaster will be there. No doubt we will not...
Keep us posted on...
Talk to each other.
That would be great, though, if this conversation has giving you the impetus to go and...
And I have a podcast.
Yes.
It is called Eleanor and Alistair Read That, and it's with Alistair Beckett King, who you may know as the male me. And we talk about children's books from the past, classic children's books. And well, I don't say we make fun of them, but we dissect them and see if they're still worth reading. And I'm about all the socials. I'm on all the socials. So if you want to know what I'm doing... Oh, I have a new YouTube video out.
Oh.
I know, I'm trying to swerve into YouTubing.
The YouTubing market.
YouTubing market. So if you like the classic 1990 film The Mummy...
Oh, wow.
I've done a deep dive on that.
You're kidding?
No.
I love that film.
Yes.
Brendan Fraser.
Yes.
Best action hero
They're
of our
doing
generation.
another one.
Another one? Since that, who did the last one? They did a couple. They did the Tom Cruise Mummy
it
and that.
wasn't good, no. It's
Brendan
not the same
Fraser,
vibe.
Rachel Weisz. Brilliant.
Perfection. So yeah, check that out.
I will as well, but everyone else should as well. Check out Eleanor's stuff, look her up. Thank you very much for being on.
Thank you.
Thank you to everyone obviously here at the Stand Comedy Club. As per usual, we make it in association with them. Big Sean always gets a shout out, as does Chris Thorburn, who edits this podcast. One more time, a shout out for the live show that's happening on the 20th of May. That will or will not be happening, depending on how much interest it generates. But what a couple of guests we have. You can also listen and support the podcast on Patreon if you just fancy, I don't know, just supporting a little independent podcast that just kind of bleeds money every month to hear people's sad stories from their childhood. But either way, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Thank you.